Okay, so we'll put her face aside for a few minutes. Oh, you know what? While I'm doing this, let's see. I'm going to get my gel pen. If you're using watercolor, you need to use like a paper towel with some water on it to kind of give it some the color. But this doesn't want to work so well right there. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. So I also have gel pen. Let's see. Yep, gel pen's working. Brand new. I'm going to do the corners of the eye over here. And on that corner in there. A little bit over here. And there. When you're using the colored pencil or the acrylic pencils, it's interesting how they have to dry. Let it dry because some of the ink will soak through your fabric. So I decided that these eyes were going to be brown, but I started out with the yellow pencils. I'm going back in with the permanent marker. Well, that one must have a tip on it. Okay. The bottom part of the eye, because I'm doing, all right, let's see whether we're gonna, it says yellow, but it's coming out a little bit on the orange side. So let's do a lighter yellow in this set of permanent markers. Okay, those are not working so well. This is a new set that I got, but it's not doing so well. Let's try the brown. Yesterday when I did the eyes, I did it so that the black part of the eye was small. And then I realized that she looked like she was a little cross-eyed. So I went back in and made the dark part a little bit darker. Well, this pen is working. And I'm going to color this in a little bit more. You'll find that if you look at the eye real good, I have to turn it around, I'm sorry. Most eyes have a little bit more color in other than just brown, blue, black, or green. Well, not black eyes, but dark eyes. And you get little flecks of other colors coming in there. So I'm going to color that. The yellow, that part that I put in there yesterday, gives it a little bit more body so that you can see what the eye looks like. Let's see. And when you want to test out, once you decide that you like your eye color or something, you can test the back of the head. I'm going to go underneath the eye and give it a little bit more shadow. And I'm going to outline the lips a little bit more. Let's see what it looks like when I put. I'm going to leave that alone for right now. Covers. Okay. Okay, that went under the table. I should have, okay, here we go. If you have a piece of scrap fabric, just kind of test your pens out to see what colors they are. Or like I said, you can use the back. I'm not sure why this one's not working. I guess it is. Nope, it's not working. Let's try this one. That's supposed to be that color, and it's coming out looking very brown to me. Okay. Put that underneath there. And the other thing that we need in an eye is to give it a little highlight, or what they call the life of the doll, of the eye, and put a little dot there and a little dot there. I like to add 2 dots. And then you can see where she looks like she's coming alive again. Color in the teeth a little bit. All right. My hands don't want to do right quite today, but that's the head. Then we're going to go back to the body. I know that some of you have done dolls before in the past. Hold on one second. And it'll give me a little bit more table space. So I put the stick, actually you can either put it through the side opening if it'll fit for you. We'll go back to review a little bit. We had the body pattern, which we traced onto our freezer paper. And then we cut that out. We ironed it on 2 right side facing fabrics to create the body. We we cut out the fabric after it was sewed, and then we clipped around the edges, clipped around the neck. Do not cut your seam open, and clipped around on the shoulders so that your fabric would open up properly. And I took my finger or a dull edge and kind of go around the edges so that you can smooth out the seams. If you don't have a stick quite the right size that you would like, I don't know if I can get this back out again, but it can go in the side. This stick that I just picked up has a point on it, so you would not use one with a point on it because it may go through. So when I sewed it, I left a little spot open on the top of the head, and I slid the stick right into the doll. Since there's one there already, I'm going to take that out. But and then we started stuffing. The stuffing, the kind of stuffing that I suggest you use is the polyfill. They have different brands, but one that I like when stuffing, you can use any of them, but the one that I like is what they call buffalo snow. They sell it in Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, stores like that. They even sell it in the Christmas tree store because people use it around this time of the year. They usually run around $6 or $7 a bag at this point. Hello, who was that?
Doris.
Oh, hi, Doris. Okay. It's okay. So I had left the opening here, and start with some stuffing, and we put that in. I use my fingers to get it started and push it in. And then you can use, suggest the back part of your stick if you're using the chopstick style. Or if you like, there are tools that doll makers use. And this is called a stuffing fork, which can be purchased at Doll Maker's Journey. There's a couple of different doll making sites that I will list in reference to some of the tools. And as you see, you keep feeling it so that you can know the next size that you want to do your stuffing, because you want to keep your stick as much as possible in the middle. And I do from the bottom, stuff that for a while, and then I start adding to the neck, because the neck has got to be secure enough, which it's, if you see here, it's not right this moment, to hold the head when we go to sew it on. So I'm just going to twist this a little bit, and it has a tendency to catch the stuffing. And then you can put it inside the doll and place it where you want. Okay, and you can see how that's making the doll more secure. Put a little bit more, and then I'm going to ask for questions. For those who just came today, do you have any questions? And were you able to catch up last night if I got to talk to you? I'm not sure if I got through to everybody. Barbara, were you able to sew your body? You can unmute yourself. Let's see who we got here. Okay. I got everybody. We got Nastasia, Jackie, Doris stepped away, Jackie McCrae, and Jones. Okay. So unmute yourself, Barbara. You can okay, you can unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Barbara's the person who taught the class on Saturday, and I wanted her to see my results.
Okay.
I think it turned out pretty good. I just have to put the little string on so that it can hang on the tree.
Okay.
All right, so I'm stuffing. Were you able to sew your doll last night, or do you need time to do that now?
I need time to do it, but I'll be all right.
I know you will.
I understand that part.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to continue stuffing. And those who are sewing and stuffing, sometimes you can just start with your fingers to put the stuffing in. But as I was saying earlier in the meeting, if you're at the part where you're stuffing your head, when I stuff this head, I put at least this much stuffing in there, and it's still a little squishy, which means that I could actually add some more into this head to make it even firmer. And that's one of the reasons that you want to, if possible, remember to paint your face or create the face on the flat surface. In review, we did cut out the head. Let's see if I have those here. Yeah. We traced two heads on the freezer paper. And one has like the head has it just gives the shape. And I'm looking for, okay. All right, one just gave the shape, and then one had like where the eyes were, and you can kind of play with it. On the pattern that I sent out, I did draw a face. And then I noticed that sometimes a little bit of the eyebrow was a little bit off, but If you're good at drawing faces, you can just draw that, or you can once you've sewed around the edge of the, put this on here. Once you've sewed around the edge, and in figuring out, and I'm gonna see if you can see this a little bit closer. I'm going to spotlight myself first again. Hold on a second. All right. On this fabric, and I hope you can see that, there's lines that are going up and down. This is for the new people, and that gives you the straighter grain. And when you pull your fabric, you can see there's not a lot of stretch in there. But when you place your head on your fabric, you want to turn it a slight bit, and then when you stretch your fabric, you see how much it stretches, which can give you the dimension that you need when you're doing your dolls. Whether it be a flat head or a head that's three-dimensional, putting it on the slant is what makes a difference when you're making your doll heads. Okay, so you do 2 of them. One like that, and you sew it around, leaving the top open. And then you do another one, which you then, after you've sewn this around, cut a 1/4 inch around the edge so you can have some space, cut this out, and then you would trim, you would just snip it on each side here around the curves. On the straight, you don't have to snip it, just around the curves, so it gives a little bit more leeway. And then you take the other piece and then you turn it inside out. And then you take the other piece that has your face drawn on it, and you cut out where the eye is and the eyebrow and the mouth. Oops, I'm out of the camera. Okay. And it'll look like, this is what you're cutting out. So the 2 eyes, the eyebrow, and the mouth. And you're doing that on the freezer paper. So once you've turned this inside out, you will go back to your iron, put this on top of your fabric that you've turned inside out, and press that on. And then you will go in and trace, first with a light pencil or either a brown pencil, the eyes, the eyebrows, and whoops, and then you trace the mouth. This is on the right side of your fabric, giving you an idea as to where, I'm not sure if you can see that, where your eyes and mouth and eyebrows are going to be. If at that time when you're doing this, you see that it's off a little bit, you can adjust the cutouts. Like this eye is a little more slanted than that. So I don't know if you can see that. Doesn't look like you can see that. I would adjust it so that you can get the eyes to be as close to what you want it to be. So when you cut this out, you would go back in using your colored pencil. I'll do this on the side. Using your colored pencil and probably a brown or a mechanical pencil. A mechanical pencil is good because then you can erase it if it seems to be a little bit off. Circle it on your fabric. If it's the brown, then it ends up giving you some highlights. And you can't see that at all because I can hardly see that. But and then you go back in and do your coloring. The first thing I would do is put the white of the eye, paint the white of the eye with the acrylic paint and let that dry. And while that's drying, you can play with the eyebrows, and then you can go back in and put the parentheses on each side so that you can see where your eyes are going to be. I was looking for my scrap. Okay, let's put this over here. So let's say we have an eye here, which is a dash and a half moon. Kind of make that little circle there. Put that closer. Let's use a black one. Okay, they seem to have all disappeared from us. All right. So like if you're doing the eye, an eye, you have two dashes and you try and make them about the same length with a space in between about the size that the first eye is, depending on the size of your head. There's a dash, half moon, parenthesis, 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 and then put a dot in the middle. And you have some eyes. But I would paint this part in here, the white. You see how this particular marker, if I leave it on here too long of a time, it starts to spread. So you want to make sure that when you use your the permanent pens, that you do light strokes so that they don't bleed into your fabric and make a bigger line than you want. And I'm going to ask, do you have any questions? You saw how I did the head this morning and added the nose. And for those who got in late, do you have any questions you'd like to ask? And you can unmute yourself if you have some questions, or if you want me to go back and review some things. I don't hear anybody, so we will go to our next step. I have a body. All right. This is not fully stuffed at the present time, but I'm going to show you how to attach the head. We're at 2:15, so we've been online for about an hour at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording for a minute, and I'm going to let us take a break for about 5 minutes. So it's 2:15, and at 2:20 I will come back and I will show you how to attach the head to the doll. And I will also show you, okay, I'll show you how to attach the head to the doll. Hold on one second. And we'll start doing the costuming, and that should be fun also. And I'll show you how I make some of the simple designs that can make cute things for our doll. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, doesn't want to go. Sorry. Be right back, ladies. Hi, everyone. I'm back.
Hello.
Hi.
Gwen, I just want to remind everyone that we need their written permission to put the videos of yesterday and today's class up on our website. So if people could send you or I an email, that would be great. And I'll put the email in the chat.
I think I sent it out to everyone that they should send an email to you,
Okay,
and hopefully they will do that
great.
before the end of the class so that we can all see and have the information that we need.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Just
Right.
we'll need a reminder.
Gwen
Yeah.
and Deborah, I sent you guys a chat. I really think today's video is probably better than
Okay.
yesterday's.
Okay.
Just a
Oh,
suggestion.
yeah, I was just answering your chat. Yeah, yes, today's is very good, but our Leroy here had edited them yesterday's, so a lot of the superfluous stuff has been taken out of yesterday's, so that one.
Not a lot. It's just
Some.
a bare minimum.
It's just some.
Stuff. So anyway, I think, I don't know, what do you think, Gwen? Should we just put up today's or should we put up today's and yesterday's?
Well, I think we should probably wait till we have it all, if possible.
Okay.
It's up to you guys because you know why? There are people who are just signing on today who might want to get caught up.
See yesterday's, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I have been reviewing it, so I think it's up to you two.
Okay.
You could send it to me first, and I'll see what it looks like. How's that?
All right.
Okay. Let's
Sounds
see if
good.
there's any more adjustments. All right. So what we're going to do this afternoon is kind of work on some costumes. This is the sheet that I sent out to folks in reference to making the bows that you can do with yarn, you can do with ribbon, and even strips of fabric, so that if you decide you want to make hair that's used by a bow, that we can do that also. So let me just bring this doll over, and let's see if we can stand her up. She's different in that. All right, so this is like the skirt that I made for this particular doll, and as you see, let me start recording also. Okay, there we go. Our ascot is, I'm going to take it off for a minute. When we put the neck on, I guess I should show you that maybe first. When you get to the part where you're doing the neck, you will have a space underneath there. And you want to possibly cover that up. I'm not sure why that came up on my screen, but let me get rid of it. So what I did was I took some simple shapes and to make some clothing. And this one has a little bit of color on it because one side is one way, the other side is different color. And then I added some trim around the base, and I added some trim on those who were able to get a kit. You can see on this one, I put some fabric. I mean, this is some trim here. This is some more trim that I added on, and I'm going to pick two more different colors. I think I'm going to use this color from yesterday and this color because they kind of show up in this doll. It has the blues and it has the yellows in it. And we're going to put our right sides together. I have this yellow here, but let's see. Now, with this particular, in the pattern piece, it's not the straightest in the world, but there is a pattern piece. You can make it smaller, you can make it larger, depending on how much you want, how much skirt you want on your doll. But I'm going to cut it out. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to show you something. Out the pattern piece. Now, I use cotton fabric, but you could use something a little fancier, depending on how you want your doll to turn out. Hold on one second. Let me bring this over. When I start trying to make a design for a doll, clothing design, I start with paper towels. And like this particular one, I folded a paper towel in half, and then I just drew from this corner down to this. Well, actually, yeah. Let's turn this over. Okay. And just kind of draw whatever shape you want, basically. But I kind of made it curve. And then when I opened it up, well, actually I did it from this side. That's what I did. From the full side. And I drew it. And when I open it up, you have a piece that looks like this, which is not quite a circle. It's kind of an oblong. But if you want a circle, then you can draw a circle. You would then take that piece and take fabric that is not, you can use the same fabric, or fold your fabric in half and just lay this on top, right sides together, or you can take two different colors and do one of two things. If you do it on the freezer paper, you would iron it on and then just sew around the edge of it. And just to save a little bit of time, I will pin this and I will sew around the edge, because what I then do is I sew around the complete edge, and then before I turn it inside out, I cut a line that comes straight to the middle of the fabric, just from the edge over to there. And then I open that up, and then I can I can cut this way, and that then ends up wrapping around the doll's waist. But I'll just sew this right quick. Let me cut some of this off so we don't have a lot of extra fabric at the sewing machine. And this is where, depending on what thread you've been using, you'll decide whether or not you're going to change the thread in your needle again. But if you're using like a neutral color, like a tan or a brown, a light color that matches your skin color, usually it'll be fine. And your question is, which way do you put your pins? I usually put my pins pointing out towards the edge of the pattern. So if for some reason I ever get too close to my needle in my sewing machine, it's only got to go over the smaller part of the needle. And I'm just going to sew this. And on your pattern piece, it says that it is the sewing line. And I will be right back. Okay. I have to rethread it. Hold on. And those who are working, Well, I thought it went through. Here we go. So I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew that right quick. I'm going to put you guys on pause as far as the recording is going. Okay. Now I can sew. Almost around. Okay, so now it's sewed around the edge. We can remove our pattern piece. And I tried to straighten out the circle when I sewed on the fabric, but that's okay. There we go. So now what you do, so that you can, number one, turn it inside out and get to do the rest of it. Cut some of the trim scissors off. I'm just going to go, I'm going to fold it in half. And you can see from the sewing, you can match up your lines here so that when you fold it in half, this fabric is not quite straight on here, but you'll get an idea. And kind of match that up so that when you go to cut this, you cut almost to the center. And then you can cut the edges, cut around the edges, get rid of this extra fabric. And you know what? Let me just check something. Okay. Okay, I believe it's recording. I hope so. All right. So we're going to now trim off the extra fabric. And,
Put your screen down a little bit more, please.
oh, okay. And when you do it, you want to leave about 1/4 inch around the side. And for some reason, I'm rushing. So this is where I sewed over the fabric. So that just peels right off once you, I sewed on the paper, I should say. And just go around the edge. Give yourself about 1/4 inch. Going around. Almost around. And because, and as I said yesterday, if you have pinking shears, that's when you would use your pinking shears to cut off the excess. But then we have here some curves. So we're going to go just short of the seam, the sewing line, and just kind of snip it. Snip it in those curves. The straight edge, you don't have to snip. Okay. I'm going to continue doing that around the sides. Okay. Almost done. Come back a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is reach in here and turn it inside out. And this is where you end up with the two different colors. Kind of smooth out the edges. And this is not going to be big enough to go around her waist at the moment. So what we're going to do is now we can fold it in half. You take the time to iron it, and you can fold it in half and then cut it up to the center part. And then you turn it to the side, and with a ruler you would cut over, pull that over that way, and you can just cut over about 1.5 inches on that side and about 1.5 inches on this side. So now you have a piece. This needs a little bit more trimming. She's a little wider than, oops, can you see that? She's a little wider at the waist than I thought, so we'll cut a little bit more on each side. And now you have it where, see if you can see that, where it fits around her waist. And what I would then do is fold this under. Once we figured out that it's fit her waist, I actually can fold that back and sew along that seam on that side, and then sew along this seam, fold this back, and sew that edge right there. And I'll do that right quick. Back stitch. Okay, so now we turn this back out, and you poke out your edges. Turn this one back out. You can poke out your edges. Now here's where I would decide if I want to put some additional trim on the outside. And